I just discovered my parents used my college fund to pay for my sister's dream wedding, and now they're asking me to forgive them because she's pregnant. I'm Emma, I'm 28, and I just found out that the last 15 years of financial struggle, the student loans that wake me up at 3 a.m. in cold sweats, the reason I couldn't afford to see a doctor when I broke my wrist last year, all of it traces back to a single decision my parents made when I was 13 years old. A decision they never told me about. A decision that funded my younger sister's fairy tale wedding while I ate ramen in a studio apartment with a broken heater. I need to get this out because I feel like I'm losing my mind, and everyone in my family is telling me I'm being selfish and cruel. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the villain here. But let me tell you the whole story, and you can decide. Let me give you some context about my family. I'm the oldest of 2 daughters. My sister, Olivia, is 25 now, and she's always been, how do I put this delicately? She's always been the sun around which our family orbited. I don't mean this bitterly, or at least, I didn't used to. She was genuinely a charming kid, bubbly, social, the kind of child who made friends within minutes of arriving anywhere. She did theater in high school, was homecoming queen, had this infectious laugh that made everyone feel special. I was different, quiet, bookish, more comfortable in libraries than at parties. My parents loved me, I thought, in their own way. But looking back now, I can see how the attention always flowed in one direction. Olivia's dance recitals were mandatory family events with professional photography. My debate team nationals? Dad had a work thing, and Mom stayed home because Olivia had a cold. When I was 13, my grandmother, my mom's mother, passed away. I remember my mother crying for weeks, disappearing into her bedroom for hours. What I didn't know at the time was that my grandmother had left behind a substantial inheritance, split between my mother and her brother. Mom's portion was around $180,000. One evening, I remember her sitting my dad and me down at the kitchen table. Olivia was at a sleepover, of course. Emma, Mom said, her eyes still red from crying, Grandma wanted to make sure you and Olivia would have opportunities. We're going to put this money aside for both of you, for college, for your futures. I remember feeling so grateful, so loved. I hugged her and promised I'd make Grandma proud. I studied hard through high school, got good grades, applied to colleges. I got into a decent state university, and when I asked my parents about the college fund, they got vague. We'll help what we can, Dad said. You'll probably need to take some loans, but it won't be bad. It was bad. I graduated with $87,000 in student debt. I worked 2 jobs through college, one at the campus library, another at a coffee shop on weekends. I watched my friends go on spring break trips while I picked up extra shifts. I told myself it was building character, that I was learning responsibility. My parents occasionally sent $200 here or there, which I appreciated, but I wondered about that college fund Mom had mentioned. Meanwhile, Olivia went to a small private college that cost twice what mine did. I asked Mom about it once, cautiously. Oh, she got some scholarships, Mom said breezily. Plus, she really wanted that school. You understand, don't you? You're so independent and capable. Olivia needs more support. I swallowed my questions. I was independent and capable. I could handle it. After college, I moved to Chicago for a job in marketing. The pay was mediocre, but it was a start. I lived in a 400-square-foot studio in a not great neighborhood, took the train everywhere, budgeted every dollar. My student loan payments were $680 a month, more than half my rent. I started having panic attacks. I couldn't afford therapy, so I dealt with them alone, breathing into paper bags at 3 a.m. when the walls of my studio felt like they were closing in. Olivia, meanwhile, moved back home after college. She got a job at a local boutique, paid no rent, and seemed to live a charmed life of brunch dates and weekend trips that she documented extensively on Instagram. I tried not to feel bitter. I really did. 2 years ago, Olivia got engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years, Marcus. He's a nice enough guy, works in real estate, comes from money, drives a BMW his parents gave him. The engagement was announced at a family dinner I had to fly home for, plane ticket. $340 I didn't have. Everyone was ecstatic. Champagne was poured. Olivia showed off her ring. Later I learned it cost $12,000. We're thinking a spring wedding, Olivia gushed. Something romantic, you know? Maybe at the Rosewood Estate? I'd looked at the Rosewood Estate once, idly, when I was daydreaming about my own hypothetical future wedding. A basic package there started at $40,000. Over the next 18 months, wedding planning consumed our family. Every phone call with Mom was about centerpieces, invitation fonts, whether the bridesmaids should wear sage green or dusty rose. I was a bridesmaid, naturally, which cost me $300 for the dress plus alterations, $150 for the bachelorette weekend, and another $400 for the shower I co-hosted. I asked once, carefully, Mom, isn't this getting expensive? Are Marcus's parents helping? Oh, honey, don't worry about it, Mom said. Your father and I want to give Olivia the wedding she's always dreamed of. You know how special this is. The wedding was last October. It was, objectively, beautiful. The Rosewood Estate was transformed into an autumnal wonderland, pumpkins, gold chargers, a live band, an open bar, a dessert table that looked like something from Pinterest. 200 guests. Olivia wore a Vera Wang dress. There was a photo booth, a cigar bar, personalized favors. Marcus's parents gave a toast about how generous and wonderful my parents were for making this magic happen. I smiled through all of it, danced with my uncle, caught up with cousins I hadn't seen in years. But inside, I felt hollow. I kept thinking about my studio apartment, about the medical bill I was paying off in installments because I couldn't afford the full amount when I broke my wrist. I thought about how I'd been too embarrassed to tell my parents about the break because I didn't want them to worry or feel obligated to help when money was clearly tight if they were paying for this wedding. 3 weeks ago, everything came crashing down. I was home for Thanksgiving. On Thursday evening, after dinner, I was helping Mom clean up in the kitchen. Dad and Olivia were in the living room watching football. Mom had had a few glasses of wine, and she was in a nostalgic mood. You know, she said, rinsing a plate, I'm so glad we could give Olivia that wedding. Your grandmother would have been so happy to see it. Something in her phrasing snagged in my brain. What do you mean? I asked. Mom looked at me, and I saw something flicker in her eyes. Maybe realization, maybe guilt. Well, you know, the money Grandma left. We wanted to use it for something special. The kitchen tilted. The college fund, I said slowly. The money you said was for mine and Olivia's futures. Mom's face went pale. Emma, how much did the wedding cost, Mom? Sweetie, I don't think. How much? She was quiet for a long moment. Around $85,000. I felt like I'd been punched. $85,000, I repeated. The same amount I have in student loans. Emma, it's not that simple. Did you use my half of Grandma's inheritance to pay for Olivia's wedding? Mom set down the plate she was holding. Her hands were shaking. We used some of it, yes. But Emma, you have to understand. How much was supposed to be mine? We split it, she whispered. $90,000 for each of you. The number hung in the air between us like a physical thing. $90,000. I could have graduated debt-free. I could have afforded that broken wrist. I could have lived in an apartment with heat that actually worked. I could have saved, traveled, built a life without the constant weight of financial anxiety crushing my chest. So Olivia got her money, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. For a wedding, a party, one day, and I got, what? The occasional $200 check? It's not like that, Mom said, and now she was crying. Olivia needed, she's not as strong as you, Emma. She needed that day. She needed to feel special. You've always been so capable, so independent. Because I had no choice. The words burst out of me, loud enough that Dad and Olivia appeared in the doorway. What's going on? Dad asked. I turned to look at him, at Olivia standing beside him looking confused in her expensive athleisure set. Did you know? I asked Dad. Did you know that you used my college fund to pay for Olivia's wedding? The look on his face was all the answer I needed. Emma, he started, but I held up a hand. I need to leave, I said. I walked out of the kitchen, grabbed my coat and bag from the entryway. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get my arms through the sleeves. Emma, wait. Olivia called after me. What is she talking about? She asked our parents. I heard Mom start to explain as I walked out the door. I drove to a hotel. There went another $150 I didn't have, because I couldn't stomach the thought of staying in that house. The next morning, my phone exploded. Texts from Mom, Dad, Olivia. Voicemails. All saying essentially the same thing. I was overreacting. It wasn't about choosing Olivia over me. They were going to help me with my loans. Why was I being so dramatic? This was so unlike me. Couldn't we just talk about this like adults? Olivia's text was the worst. Emma, I had no idea about any of this. I'm so sorry. But also, it's not my fault. Mom and Dad made this choice, not me. And you're kind of making Thanksgiving about you when we're supposed to be grateful and together as a family. Can't you just be happy for me? I didn't respond to any of them. I drove back to Chicago on Friday morning and spent the weekend in my apartment, staring at the wall, trying to process everything. On Monday, I got a call from my aunt, Mom's sister. Emma, she said gently, your mom told me what happened. I want you to know. I suspected something like this years ago. When you were taking all those loans, and then Olivia's wedding was so expensive. I actually asked your mother about it once, and she got very defensive. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I thought maybe I was wrong, she said. And it wasn't my place to interfere. But Emma, I want you to know, what they did wasn't right. You deserved to know. You deserved that money. Her validation made me cry for the first time since Thanksgiving. Yesterday, I finally responded to my parents' messages. I sent them both the same text. I need time and space to process this. Please respect that. Mom called immediately. Against my better judgment, I answered. Emma, please, she said. She sounded wrecked. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But I need you to understand, we truly believed we were doing the right thing at the time. Olivia was struggling after college, and Marcus's family is so well off, and the wedding industry is insane, and we just wanted to give her something beautiful. We were going to tell you, but there was never a right time, and then years passed, and it became easier to just never mention it, I finished. We were going to help you with your loans, she insisted. We still will. We can work out a payment plan. With what money? I asked. You just spent it all on a party. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. Mom, you want to talk about fair? Let's talk about how I worked 2 jobs through college while Olivia got to focus on her studies at her expensive private school. Let's talk about how I lived on ramen while she lived at home rent-free. Let's talk about how I broke my wrist and didn't go to the hospital right away because I was trying to decide if I could afford the copay, while you were spending thousands on wedding flowers. You never told us about your wrist. Because I didn't want to be a burden. I shouted. Because you made it very clear where your priorities were. Because every time I needed something, you told me how capable and independent I was, and how Olivia needed more support, and I internalized that to mean I wasn't allowed to need anything. Mom was crying now, really crying. Emma, please. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We made a mistake. A huge mistake. But you're my daughter, and I love you, and I can't lose you over this. You should have thought about that before you stole from me, I said, and hung up. That was yesterday. Today, I got a group text from Dad. Everyone, we have some happy news to share in this difficult time. Olivia and Marcus are expecting. We're going to be grandparents. Due in July. The text was clearly meant to be a peace offering, a distraction, a way to redirect the family's attention to something positive. There were already responses piling up from aunts, uncles, cousins. Congratulations. So exciting. What a blessing. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then Olivia texted me privately. I really hope you can be happy for me, Emma. I know things are complicated right now, but this baby is going to need their aunt. Can we please move past this? For the baby's sake? And here's where I think I might be the asshole. I don't want to move past it. I don't want to show up with a smile and a baby gift and pretend everything is fine. I don't want to be the bigger person. I don't want to hear about how I'm ruining this joyful time for the family. Because here's the truth I'm finally letting myself feel. I'm not just angry about the money. I'm angry about all of it. I'm angry about every time my accomplishments were met with, "That's nice, honey," while Olivia's were celebrated with dinner parties. I'm angry about every time I was told to be understanding when Olivia needed extra support. I'm angry that I've spent my entire adult life feeling like I'm running a race with weights strapped to my ankles while watching my sister sprint ahead with every advantage. And I'm angry that now, when I've finally found the courage to name this hurt, I'm being told to swallow it down because my sister is pregnant and needs family support, and I'm being selfish by making this about me. This morning, Mom sent me another text. Emma, I know you're hurting. I know we failed you. But Olivia is pregnant and fragile right now, and the stress of your anger is making her sick. She's been crying for days. Can we please find a way to work through this that doesn't hurt your sister? She's innocent in all of this. Is she, though? Is Olivia innocent? She lived at home rent-free for 2 years. She had an $85,000 wedding without ever asking where the money came from. She went to an expensive private school without questioning how it was paid for while I was drowning in loans at my state school. At what point does ignorance become willful? At what point does accepting advantage after advantage make you complicit? I haven't responded to any of today's messages. I'm sitting here in my studio apartment, the same studio apartment, because I can't afford to move somewhere better with these loan payments. Trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do now. Part of me wants to just cut them all off. Change my number. Build a life where I don't have to watch my sister get everything while being told I should be grateful for scraps. Where I don't have to perform gratitude for parents who robbed me and then asked me to smile about it. But another part of me, the part that still loves these people despite everything, the part that remembers my mom teaching me to braid my hair and my dad helping me with math homework and my sister and me building blanket forts when we were kids, that part is screaming that I'm about to make a mistake I can't take back. My best friend, Jordan, came over last night with wine and takeout. I told her everything. She listened, and then she said, "Emma, I love you. And what your parents did was fucked up beyond belief. But I want you to think about something. Do you want to be right? or do you want to have a family? Why can't I have both? I asked. Maybe you can, she said. But probably not right now. And maybe not the family you thought you had. I think that's what hurts the most. I can't go back to who I was before Thanksgiving, before I knew the truth. That Emma, the one who made excuses for her parents, who told herself that the unequal treatment was all in her head, who bent herself into shapes to be worthy of love, she's gone. I can't resurrect her even if I wanted to. But this new Emma, the angry one, the one who knows she was wronged, I don't know how to be her in my family. I don't know if there's space for her there. So I guess that's why I'm here, shouting into the void of the internet. Some questions for those of you who've read this far. Am I wrong to stay angry? Should I forgive them for Olivia's sake, for the baby's sake, for family? At what point does accepting unequal treatment make my sister complicit in my hurt? How do you rebuild trust with people who stole from you and then asked you to get over it? Is it selfish to refuse to be the bigger person when being the bigger person means swallowing your pain so everyone else can be comfortable? And here's the big one. Can you love your family and still acknowledge that they've damaged you in ways that might be irreparable? I don't know the answers. I don't know what I'm going to do. All I know is that I'm 28 years old, I have $87,000 in student loans, a studio apartment with unreliable heat, and a family that's asking me to pretend none of this matters because my sister is pregnant and everyone just wants to move forward. But I can't move forward when no one has even acknowledged how far back they pushed me. So, Reddit, Aida for refusing to get over the fact that my parents stole my inheritance to fund my sister's dream wedding? Update. If anyone cares, I'm reading all your comments and messages, and honestly, I'm overwhelmed. Some of you are telling me to sue my parents. Some are telling me to forgive them. Some are sharing your own stories of family financial betrayal. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But for the first time in weeks, I don't feel completely crazy. So thank you for that. I think I might text my parents tonight and ask if they'd be willing to go to family therapy. I don't know if it'll help. I don't know if anything can fix this. But maybe Jordan was right. Maybe I can have both truth and family, just not the family I thought I had. Or maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and decide to change my number and move to Seattle and start over. Right now, both options feel equally possible and equally terrifying. Thanks for listening.